Hey everyone, welcome back to this channel. Today we are building a real-world application using Flutter and the power of AI. We are creating a language translation app called Talk Global. This app will utilize the Gemini API to provide accurate and fast translation between multiple languages. Whether you are a Flutter developer looking to expand your skills or someone interested in building AI-powered apps, this tutorial is for you. We will cover everything from setting up the Flutter project, integrating the Gemini API, designing the user interface, and implementing the translation functionality. Let's dive and build Talk Global together, all right? Okay guys, so let me explain what we are going to do. All right, this is just a two-page application. All right, so at the moment you see like some four screens, but don't worry, it's just a two-page application. All right, so let me explain what is happening and what we are going to do. All right, this is the home page. All right, and it gives you a listed countries and the names of countries and their flags. All right, this is this particular class that we create. All right, at any refresh or restart of the application, there's going to be a random selection of a particular country. All right, so at the moment England is selected, so when you probably restart the app, another country is going to be selected at random with different background color and all that. Yep. And yeah, and this is a button. All right, a button that when you click on, you're going to see the screen. You are not going to use the navigator. We will create our own toggle function. All right, so once you click on that, you get to this particular screen. All right, and this is the prompt screen. All right, that contains a couple of things. All right, some text widget and some icon over here. Drop down for you to select the language you want to translate from and to. All right, so this is for which language you want to translate from, and once you do that, you get it over here. So translate from, you see it, and when you select translate to. All right, so you see it, and this is where you input whatsoever you want to translate. All right, so it's just a text form field. So once you do that, you are going to see that over here, and you can play the audio to listen to whatever you wanted to translate and whatever you translated. And this is just a copy all right, for whatever you translate that will be translated over here. So once you click on that, you can get it, copy it, and use it whatsoever. And this is the submit button. All right, so at the moment, yeah, so I selected English UK to German, and once you do the submission, there will be a loading a circular progress indicator over here to show that something is being fetched. All right, or something, you just have to wait for something to be displayed over there. All right, so yeah, and you get the translation. All right, so this is what we are going to build. All right, so let's head over to Visual Studio Code and get started. All right, but I want to say this: if you are new to Flutter and you don't know how to get started and you don't want to be confused, don't worry, I have a full tutorial on getting started with Flutter. I call that Flutter tutorials for beginners. I'll drop that in the description below so that you can go to see what I did. It takes you through the various things that you need to know, the basics, all right, in regards to Flutter, variables, functions, widgets, networking, and many others that you need to know in Flutter. And if you are good over there, and you can come over and see what we're doing over here. But if not, and you want to move along, fine, you can move along, because we'll still be talking about the basics, and we'll build up on it. All right, so you'll not be missing. All right, you will still be in it. All right, so let's head over to Visual Studio Code and get started. Okay, so now we are in here. All right, we are in Visual Studio Code. There are a couple of things that we want to do. You can see the simulator running over here. All right, so at the top of the screen, all right, the taskbar. All right, so you just have to click on View, click on Command Palette. We'll select New Flutter Project, and then we select Application. Then we select our folder. At the moment, we are going to put it at desktop, all right? So yeah, so once that is done, we'll say Talk global app. All right. Yep. Sorry. So talk global app. All right. Okay, that is fine. Then we can just click on enter to create the app. Okay. So once that is done, I think what we want to do is to run this project. So we just click on new terminal. All right. Yes. Once we click on new terminal, let me zoom in a bit. Oh, this is too much. Okay. I think this is fine. So I just click on Flutter run. I'll just type Flutter run in the terminal and wait for the app to build and get running. Okay. So whilst that is happening, let's do a couple of things in here. So over here, we just want to click on new folder and we'll create assets folder. All right. And inside the asset folder, we'll create another folder called images. Okay. And I'm going to grab some images and paste them in here. But these images will be available on the Git repo. So you can just grab them, download them, or clone them and come and paste them inside like I'm going to do. All right. So I'll bring my folder, the images folder, everything in here. I'll just do Control or Command O. Then I'll just copy everything. All right. So I'll just copy everything. Where is the copy? Okay. So once that is done, just go back, come to talk global app, assets, images, then just do paste. Yep. So I can see the images pasted over here, and that is fine. Okay. So our app is also running, and we can see everything. So let's do a couple of things. We'll come to the pub spec file. All right. And what we want to do is we want to scroll to the assets side, uncomment it, okay, and remove this then, okay. Then we'll create assets images. All right. So we've added that. So that means that we can make use of our images anywhere. All right. So a couple of things that we want to do. Quick one. A couple of things that we want to do. Let me bring them in. That's far. All right. There are a couple of things that we want to do. The first thing we want to do is to create a screen folder. All right, screens folder inside the lib folder. All right, and inside the screens folder, there are two files that we want to create. The first file we are going to create is called the home screen. All right, home screen .dat, and this is going to be a stateful widget. So stfl, and we say home screen. Okay, the home screen is going to take in a void callback. So let's do that. So final void void callback. Okay, and we are going to say show prompt screen, which we will create soon. Okay, once that is done, let's add it to the constructor. Okay, so require this dot show prompt screen. Okay, that is fine. So we've created a home screen. The next thing we want to do is to create the prompt screen. So create prompt screen .dat, and this is also going to be a stateful widget. So yeah, so we'll just say prompt screen. Okay, and this as well is also going to take void callback. So final void callback, and again say show home screen. All right. Yep. So show prompt screen. Okay, and show home screen. So let's add it to the constructor. All right, so required this dot show home screen. Okay, all right, so the next thing we want to do is to create another folder, and we'll create the toggle page file. All right, I'll explain what we are going to do with the toggle page file. All right, so let's do that. So inside the lib folder, we'll create another folder called component. Okay, we'll create another folder called component. All right, and inside the component folder, we'll create a file by name toggle page. Okay, so toggle page dot dat, and inside here, this is also going to be a stateful widget. All right, and we are going to call it toggle page. Okay, so why did we create that? The reason why we are creating the toggle page is, like I told you, when the user click on this button over here, we want to toggle from this particular screen to this particular screen. We are not going to use a navigator, and that's why we created the toggle screen. Okay, so the toggle page, let's do that. So let's get going. So inside our toggle screen, there are a couple of things that we want to do. So we'll create a bool, and we would say show home screen. All right, and we'll set it to true. All right, so this means that anytime the app loads or refresh, we are going to see the home screen. Okay, so now we can write our function. So void or the method so say toggle page or toggle screen. Okay, this is a method, so there are a couple of things that we need to pass to it. So we'll use setState, and inside the setState we'll say show home screen, and then we'll say not show home screen. All right, so let me just copy this thing. It's fine. Okay, and that is just that. Okay, so inside here, all that we have to do inside our build is to write a couple of things. Okay, so an if statement, and we'll pass the show home screen to that. Okay, yep, then we'll return we are going to return the home screen. All right, return the home screen. Okay, and you can see that home screen takes in the show prompt screen that we passed to it. All right, and it's going to and we are going to pass that to the toggle page method that we created. Okay, and then hang on for a second. So let me just copy this thing, or cut this thing and paste it in here. Okay, this is fine. All right, okay, so if, all right, else else there are a couple of things. So the else, then return the prompt, we return the prompt screen, and that takes in the toggle screen as well, and that is it. Okay, let me put some comments over here. Okay, that is fine. So what we just did is to ensure that whenever the page loads, all right, we are going to show the home screen. All right, else if any other thing happens, show the prompt screen. All right, so that is what we've done over here. All right, so yeah, so that's why we've created a toggle page file, created our own method. Okay, so now let's come to the main dot file. There are a couple of things that we're going to get rid of that we don't need. Okay, and the first thing we want to do is to clear everything from down here to this parts of the screen. Okay, so we didn't need that. Okay, and let's clear everything inside the material app widgets. Okay, now let's do a couple of things inside that. So the first thing we want to do is to get rid of the debug banner. This is a debug banner. All right, and we are going to set that to false. That is fine. And then we will do our home property. And when we call the home property, we want to pass it to the toggle page. All right. Ooh, why did I make a mistake somewhere? Oh, sorry. Okay, so let's fix that. I used to go. All right, so let's fix that. Okay, so options, 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 options. All right, fine. So just get rid of 1G, 1O, then we'll add another G. That is fine. Okay. Okay, so everything is done there. So in here, we take toggle page and we can import that. All right. Awesome. All right. Okay. So at the moment, if we restart the whole app or something, let me call the app. Okay. And do a Flutter run, which will get everything started for us. We are going to use a scaffold. So I'm in the home file. We are going to use a scaffold. And let me do a body. And the body, let me set that to a container widget. All right. For now. Oh, sorry. Let me set that to a text widget for now. And let me do home. And let me just center it. All right. I want us to see what we've done. We'll come and change all these things. Okay. So if we refresh, and we can see home being displayed over here. All right. So now let's see what we are supposed to do in the home screen. Okay. So the home screen takes in a rectangle with a couple of country names and their flags. Okay. Then it takes some text widgets or whatsoever. We are going to use a rich text for these things. Then it takes in the button. All right. So let's do that. In fact, let's do the background first and we'll get going. Okay. All right. So inside our home screen, okay, so what we want to do is to give a background color, and we are going to make use of the color widget. All right, and we are going to use VScode. Okay, so 0x12123456. All right, that is fine. So now instead of using these widgets, we don't need them. All right, we don't need these widgets. Okay, so I'll get rid of that. And the first thing we want to do is to make use of a container widget. All right. Let me pass a comment over here. So container for all content. All right. And inside a container widget, there are a couple of things that we want to do. Okay. So the first thing we want to make use of is to make use of the decoration property. And inside that, we are going to use a box decoration. And inside the box decoration, there are a couple of things that we would want to pass to that. Okay. I don't know if you can see from this image, but there's a map, like a word map, like image that is behind all these content. All right. So yeah, so we are going to do that. We are going to use that. So make use of the image property inside the decoration, the box decoration, and then we'll make use of the decoration image. And inside the decoration image, we'll also make use of another image property, and we'll set our asset image. We are supposed to define our path. All right, our path. And if you come into the asset folder, the images folder, you can see I have an image called word map.png. So that's what we are going to make use of. So assets, all right, images, and then word map dot png. Okay, let me just do a couple of things. Okay, that's fine. All right, so right now if we refresh or restart the app, yeah, so we can see that we can see the word map image over here. Okay, so let's get going. Let's continue to start things a bit. All right, so right after here, so right after the assets, all right, so we want to do a fit so that we get the images the image fitted one. So we do box fit, and we are going to do cover. All right, so yeah, so it covers very well. All right, and we can see it. So let's get going inside our container widget. The next thing we want to do is to you make use of the chart property, and we are going to make use of the pattern widget. And this pattern widgets, we are going to define a couple. We are going to do a couple of things. But let me add a comment over here. This pattern is going to take a chart property, and which we are going to pass the column widget to that. So I'll say so pattern I'll say column for all content in a pattern. All right, that is fine. So inside here, we'll say const edge insect, and we use only. All right, only because we want to specify a couple of things. We want to specify our values for the top, bottom, or left and right. All right, because they are going to be different. All right, so what I would say is so yeah, so let's get going. So top, so 80.0, so that means that whatever content, all right, that is going to be here should be 80% 80 away from 80% away from the top. All right, and so left, all right, we say 16, then we use right, we say 16 as well. Okay, yeah, so once that is done, we get going. All right, so the next thing is we'll make use of the chart property. So let me add a comment. Column, it starts here, column ends here. All right, inside here, so I can pass the chart property and make use of the column widget. All right, and the column widget has to take in the children property. All right, and let's do this. We want everything to be centered, so we'd say cross axis, and we do cross axis alignment dot center. All right, there are two things that we are going to use, all right, to split the screen into two. And we are going to use the expanded widget. What it does is the expanded widget, what you do is when you use an expanded widget, I'm saying that the space that is there, just use the space that is available to you. All right, yeah, to make use. So let me just pass some comments. So first, expanded. All right, I said we are going to make use of two expanded widgets. All right, so and this will be the second expanded. All right, so make use of the expanded widgets. Okay, it will take in a chat property as well. So I just want to pass some text over here and say work to be done. All right, okay, so let me center the text widgets. All right, that's fine. So now I can copy these expanded widgets and paste that as well over here. Don't worry. So you can see work to be done, work to be done. All right, that is fine. So now let's see what we are supposed to do. We are supposed to get these rectangles and all that. Then we are supposed to also do this. Let's do the text and these things first. Then we'll come back to the top. All right, with these rectangles, with the country names and their flags. Okay. So the next we want to do is to come inside the second expanded widget. All right. We want to get rid of everything here. Okay, that's fine. And we would want to pass column widget into that, and we'll specify our children. All right. Okay. And inside our children, let's pass a comment over here. Say rich text. Okay, rich text starts here. I'll copy that and say rich text ends here. Okay, that is fine. All right, so now let's make use of the rich text widgets. Okay, rich text. All right, and what we want to do is to use the text span. Okay, all right. Okay, so let me put comma. Okay, now let's do something first. We want the text and every content in here to be centered. All right, so let's do that. At the moment it's centered, but the text over here and everything is centered. All right, but it's going to be left aligned. All right, they are going to be left aligned over here, but I want it to be centered aligned. All right, we want it to be aligned center. All right, so we'll do text align. All right, and we do text align dot center. All right, we can now get going. So let's go and grab something. Let's go and grab a particular library. All right, so I'll type inside my favorite browser that, and I'll come here. All right, so pub dot dev. All right, so I'll type Google fonts. I've used that a couple of times, so I can see that. I would select. All right, so we can see it with 100% rating and all that. So I'll click on that, click on installing. I'll grab this. Okay. Then we'll come back to our, so let me add another video. I'll paste that over here. Get the app running. Yep. So that is added. So if you come to the pubs big file, when we go to dependencies, we can see that over here. All right. So that's awesome. So what we want to do is to kill the app and do a Flutter run again. All right. And inside the text span, all right, there are a couple of things that we want to do. Make use of the star property. And then the star property will call the Google fonts. Then we'll use a particular font called Pappens. All right. And inside the Pappens, there are a couple of things that we want to, all that we want to do is to specify the height, and we'll use 1.6. All right. That is awesome. Okay. So right after that, right after the height, okay, we want to specify the children, all right, inside rich text. All right, so children, and we'll pass that to a list of text span. All right, so text span. All right. Yep. And inside here, all right, so I'm not going to use the text span, all right, so I'm going to use the inline span rather. Sorry about that. So I'll call the inline span. All right. Yep. All right. After that, there are a couple of things that we want to do. Okay. So the first thing is to show a particular text. All right. So let's do that. So const text span widget. And inside the text span widget, we want to show the text, the string. All right, so it's just called translate. That's fine. Then we'll do a star property. So we are going to make use of the text star property widget. And in here we can, let's start our thing a bit. So we'll give it a font size of about 32. Okay. We'll give it a font weight. All right, and we specify a font weight of bold. All right, that is also fine. Then we'll give it a color. Okay. So we'll make use of the color widget, and we specify our VScode. We are going to use a dark color, so yeah. So that is done. When we refresh, awesome. All right, we see that translate every word. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, so right after this text one, all right, the next thing to do is to also let's just copy the whole of this. All right, so we'll paste that also here. I would say translate every. Okay, so I just so it's also going to be bold, all right, of the same styling that we did. Okay, So we just, all right, so okay, there are a couple of things that we want to do. We want to use a different color. All right, so say 6D1B, all right, 7B, all right, and we'll specify with opacity. Let me get rid of this. We'll specify with opacity, and that is going to be a 0.3. All right, so that is going to be a bit lighter. All right, fine, that is good. And then let me just copy everything from the top again. All right, so let me just copy everything from the top right here. So right beneath this too, so translate, so translate every type. All right, wait, okay, so 32 bold. All right, that's fine. So refresh. Yep. And the next thing we want to do is to have some space. All right, so make use of the size box. All right, so the size box widget, and this is going to take some height, a height of about 35 point. I do not know why there's an issue. Oh, okay. What is it saying? The element type size box can be assigned to the list type inline span. Really? That should happen. That should happen. All right. So you don't worry. Okay. So we'll fix this later. Okay. So let's get going. All right. Let's get going. So I'm going to make use of the text span still. So let me copy this. But it has to be a space over that. So we'll fix that soon. All right. So we'll just type in help you communicate in. All right, so we are going to make the font size is 14. It's not going to be bold, it's going to be 300. Awesome. Okay, that's fine. And then let me just grab this thing again. All right, so 300 helps you communicate in different languages. All right, awesome. Okay, so that is just that. So let's get going. Okay, this thing still looks, there's a space in between, so let's fix this particular space. All right, Okay, so right after here, what we want to do is to make use of a particular widget. All right, and so const is widget span. All right, yep, widget span, and inside here we can now make use of the size box widget, and we will specify our height. Our height is going to be 35.0. Okay, so now if you refresh, all right, there's some spacing over here. So we are done with the rich text. All right, so we can now do our button. We can now do our button. All right, so let's do that. So in here we want to pass a comment, say container for arrow for it. All right, in a padding, so it's still inside our column. All right, so say padding, and we'll use const edge insects only. Then we'll specify a top of about 40.0. This means that whatever is going to appear, a space of about 40 before it shows. All right. Okay. So inside we can now make is, if you look at it, is a container and another container. So it's about two different containers. All right. So let me pass a comment over. Say container for arrow. All right. So let me just copy this. So container for arrow for red. Okay. Wait. Paste it. Nothing. So let's make use of the chart property, and we'll call the container widget. So now we want to start our container. All right. The first thing we want to do is to give some padding. All right. So const edge insect all, and the padding is about 8.0. That's for the value. Then we'll do our decoration. Then we'll call the box decoration widget. Inside our box decoration widget, we can now make use of a couple of things to style it a bit. So let me grab this color that we used. All right, that's fine. So I'll come here, paste the color over here. Yep, it's going to be of the same thing. All right, so I'm not going to change anything. And then let's do a shape. All right, we'll do a box shape, and it's going to be cycle. All right, so if I refresh, you can see something, but it looks smaller. Okay, no worries. So we'll do that. So then we can say container for our arrow. So let me just pass a comment over here. So container for arrow for it. We'll make use of the chart property, make use of the container widget. That's the second container. All right. And in here, there are a couple of things. So we specify a height of about 50. Then we specify a width of about 50. All right. And yeah, then we'll do some padding. All right, so we can give padding. All right, So we do const edge intersect all, and it's just going to be 2.0. That's the value we are going to give. And still inside that, we'll do a decoration, box decoration. There are a couple of things that we want to do. All right, we are going to make use of the color property. So I'll copy everything from there, paste it in here, change a couple of things. All right, because the color is white. Okay, and we'll do a shape, and it's going to be circular. All right, that is fine. And then over here, so let's say add comment. All right, so arrow forward centered. All right, so we are going to make use of the child property, and I'm going to make use of the center widget. All right, and inside the center widget, we'll make use of another child property. They'll make use of the icon widget. Let's add a comment over here. Copy this, paste this over here. Then we say arrow forward here. All right, so say icons dot arrow forward. Let's do something. All right, we are going to grab this particular color. All right, and we'll paste that in, and we'll want to change the opacity a bit. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so if we save and refresh, awesome. All right, we can see. So now we want to ensure that when we click here, it should send us, when we click on this button, it should send us to the prompt screen. At the moment, our prompt screen does not take anything. So let's so that we'll see what is happening. Scaffold to body, and we are going to make use of the text widget, and we are going to say prompt screen here. Let me center this. All right, okay, so that is that. So we'll come back here, and inside this container, all right, this container, we'll wrap this container in a gesture detector. So wrap it in the widget. We'll say gesture detector on top. All right, and we'll say widget dot show prompt screen. All right, so paste this over here with opacity so in gesture detector. So if I refresh, all right, that's fine. Once I click here, she sent me to the prompt screen. All right, yeah, so I'm inside the prompt screen. Show prompt screen. Awesome. All right, so let's see what is left. We want to create these rectangles, okay, and we will pass the country data and their flags to that. So let's do that. Okay, so back here, what we want to do is to create this file, all right, called still inside the screens. All right, maybe we can create it in a better folder or something, but I want to create in this particular screen, so I'll call this country say the rectangle or something, and once again you can give it probably a different name or something, but I want to rectangle. All right, rectangle. Yeah, I want to give it this particular name. All right, so no problem. It's going to be a stateful widget, and we are going to call it country. All right, so no problem. We want to import a package, the dat. All right, mat. Yeah, this particular package. All right, is provided by Flutter. All right, so we don't do any installation or something. And then we are going to make use of the random. All right, which is provided by Flutter. All right, so let me pass some comments over here. So random object to generate. All right, random numbers. All right, yeah, so let's do that. So find our random. We'll create an instance of that random and we set it to. All right, the next thing is to create our list. All right, so we'll have that over here, so I'll just copy that and explain what is happening. Okay, so this is a list of maps containing country names and their corresponding image path. All right, so we've created a list. All right, and we've called it country data. So the country names, so you have their names over here, and the country images, and you have the path to their images. You can see them. So you have a couple of images. All right, and their names as well. So once that is done, the next thing we want to do is to create a couple of variables. All right, so variables to store the selected country and background image. All right, the selected country and background color. That's fine. So the first variable you're going to create is a string. Then we say selected country. All right. Yep. And the next one you're going to do is we'll create the color. I would say so background color. All right, so that being done, we can create our method. All right, okay, so create our random method. So we say we'll call it randomize. All right, yeah, you can call it whatever name that you want, but I think randomize makes sense to me. Then we'll use a setState, and inside our setState we'll pass the selected country. All right, so selected country, we create that to the country data, which is a list. I would say we'll pass the random, so that then we'll make use of the next integer or the next int. All right, and we'll say country data, yeah, so country data, then we use dot length. All right, then we'll pass a couple of things to that. So in here, the first thing we want to grab is the country name. All right, so let me copy that and paste that here. All right, that's awesome. Okay, and the next thing to do is to do that for the image, the background color, sorry. So I'll change something, background color, pass that background color. All right, and that is going to be color. All right, you know what, let me just get rid of everything. All right, so color, we'll use random dot next double. All right, then we do some computation. So we'll pass we'll pass the height color or something. All right, that would say dots. Oh, sorry. Yep. So dot to end. Then we do dot with opacity, and with opacity we want to make it 1.0. All right, so we just created we created a function that selects the country, all right, at randoms and gives them random background colors. All right, okay, so at the top here, let's do an init state. All right, and inside here, let's do something. Let's just pass the randomized method that we created. All right, that's fine. So now let's come to our build method. All right, and get rid of this. We are going to make use of a refresh indicator. What we want to do is at any refresh or any restart, all right, there should be a random selection. All right, so that's why we are making use of that. All right, so we use refresh indicator. There are a couple of things that we have to do, so no problem. Okay, all right, so the first thing we want to do is to pass on refresh on refresh. Okay, so on refresh, I don't know why that is not coming. Okay, on refresh, let's make that 8 sync. We'll pass the randomize to that. 8 sync. All right, Okay. So the child property is going to be a wrap, and inside the wrap, um, oh, okay. So no problem. And inside our wrap, there are a couple of things I want to do. So let's specify the spacing. All right, the horizontal and the vertical spacing. So 8.0. Then we'll do run spacing. All right, 8.02 as well. I do not know why. But let's get going. So children, and inside here, we can now make use of our country data. All right, dot map. There are a couple of things we want to grab. All right, so we'll just call it country. All right, let's do dot to left. That's fine. There are a couple of issues that we need to face. Okay. So that is fine. So 8.0. And I still do not know why it's giving a problem. But yeah, let's get going. Or probably let me do everything. The argument type double can't be assigned to the parameter type wrap alignment. Oh, sorry. This should be run spacing. Yeah, and this should fix our problems. All right, so right at the top, let me pass some comments. All right. So this iterate, so it iterates over the list of country data to create. All right, then so let me say check if the country, check if the current country, all right, is selected. Right, so if checks if the current country is selected. All right, so let's do that. So bool, we'll do x selected, and we set that to the country. All right, here, and then we'll pass the country name. We'll pass the country name to that. I would say is equal to selected country. All right, and that's the variable we created up here. Okay, that's fine. So inside our card, we give an elevation and we do 4.0. All right, now let's do a couple of things. So set the card color based on whether it is selected or not. All right, so now let's do that. So color, is it selected? Okay, if it's selected, then the background color that we created, so should pick any random background color. All right, but if it is not selected, then just use const color, then we just pass our color code to that. All right, so that's fine. Now inside here, we'll specify our shape, and we are going to use rounded rectangle border. All right, widget. Yeah, so that means that we are using a rectangle, but the corners of it, all right, should be rounded. Okay, so we specify our border radius, and our border radius is going to be dot circular, and it's going to be 16 pixels. And then from there we will specify our outside. We'll make use of the border side widget, and inside our border side widget we can make use of the color property, and we say if it is selected, it should be transparent. All right, else let me copy this particular color. So else this should happen, else show this particular color. All right, and let me use the opacity to 0.8, and then right after that we can specify our width, and our width is going to be a 0.4. all right, it's not that flexible. Okay, yep. So right after this we can also specify a chart property, and we'll make use of the container widget. And inside the container widget, there are a couple of things that we want to do. We specify a width of about 180. All right, then we'll do some pattern, and then we'll do const edge insert. I'm going to use symmetric. Okay, so whilst we do edge insert symmetric, that means that we have to specify our horizontal and vertical. Okay, So in here we will specify a vertical for about 20.0, then horizontal for about 15.0. We'll see all these things very soon. Okay. Yeah, so right after that, we can do another chart property and make use of the row widget. Then we'll do a cross axis alignment. I want to center that. So cross axis alignment dot center. Then here we can do our children. So inside our children, so let me pass a comment. All right, displays the country image. All right, displays country image. All right, we display, you see the image before the text. All right, so let's do that. So we are going to make use of the image widget. All right, so image dot assets. All right, so we specify, we'll make use of the country, and in here we can pass in country image to it. Okay, yep, an exclamation, and then we'll specify a couple of things. So height 20.0. We want to apply a couple of things like fit. All right, so fit, we'll use box fit.cover. All right, okay, that is fine. Once that is done, we want some spacing between, a bit between the image and the text that we show. So let's use a size box. All right, and we are going to make use of the width. We'll we'll specify a value of about 8.0. Now the next thing is to display the country name. All right, display the country name. All right, so make use of the text widget. There are a couple of things that we would want to do inside. So still, you know what, let me just copy this. Instead of country image. All right, now let's style this. I'll make use of the Google fonts. I'll make use of the Poppins font, and inside here we'll specify a couple of things. So let's style it. So font size of about 14.0. We'll do font weight. All right, and then the font weight is going to be 300. Okay, and then let's do a color. So if it is selected, then show a white color. All right, so let me grab this. If it is selected, show a white color. If it is not selected, then show a dark color. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, awesome. That being done, we can do an alignment. All right, to center it. All right, text align. All right, then we can do a text align dot center. That is fine. Awesome. So once that is done, we can come to the home screen now and go to the top. All right, inside the first expanded widget, and then let's get rid of everything in here we don't need. All right, and then we can call the rectangle that we just created. All right, so the chart is going to be the country rectangle that we just created, and let's center them. Let's center it. All right. That is fine. So refresh or restart the app. Yep. So at the moment, Saudi is selected. Another refresh. Another refresh. All right. So upon every refresh or restart, all right. All right. So yeah. So that is just that with the home screen. Okay. The next thing we want to do is to do this, create this particular screen, the prompt screen. All right. You can see it has a different background and color from this, a bit of gray. Yeah. So let's do that. All right. And get going. Okay. So I'll bring Visual Studio Code. Let me close this. And let me close this as well, and I can close the main. Probably let me leave that. All right, so I'll bring the prompt screen, and inside the prompt screen there are a couple of things that we want to do. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just get rid of everything inside. Yeah, everything inside here. Then the scaffold will give the scaffold a background color. All right. So use const and make use of the color widget, and then we will specify color code, which is not white. It's a bit of light gray. All right. So we'll do that. F0, then F0. All right, that's awesome. Okay, then in here we can pass our comment. All right, we are going to make use of the padding widget. So padding around content. All right, awesome. All right, so the body property, we will just pass the padding widget to that, and then we'll make use of the const edge insect only, where we specified some values. All right, so the top is going to be 50, the left is going to be 16, and the right is also going to be 16. All right, so okay. So that being done, then we can. So what we've actually done is to give a bit of padding, all right, at the top of the prompt screen. So at the top of the prompt screen, all right. So some padding at the left, right, and at the top. All right. So let's do that. Let's Let's continue and write some code and we'll see what will happen. All right, so in here, I'll say column starts here. All right, then I'll copy this and paste this and say column ends here. All right, so we'll make use of the chat property and we'll make use of the column widget, and this is to contain everything. All right, so this will contain everything that we are going to do inside the prompt screen. All right, and then we will do a cross-axis alignment, then we'll center everything. All right, so cross-axis alignment, cross-axis alignment dot center. All right, so this will center everything. All right, then inside our column we are going to make use of two things. We are going to make use of a couple of things. Let's see what we are supposed to do. This, we have a text widget and an icon. All right, and this icon beneath them is some line or something like that. So let's do that. All right, so what we are going to use, we are going to make use of the container widget. All right, so let me pass a comment over here. So container container for test test translation, sorry, and test field icon. All right, test field icon. Okay, so we can now make use of the container widget. So make use of the container widget, and then this container widget takes in a couple of things. All right, so we want the items inside the container widget to have some kind of padding. All right, so we'll make use of the padding property inside the container widget. All right, and then we'll do a const edge insert. We'll use symmetric. All right, so if you are using symmetric, that means that we are specifying the horizontal and the vertical values. All right, so the vertical, that means the top to down, we are going to specify a value of 20, and the horizontal, that is left to right, we are going to specify a value of about 10. All right, which is fine. That is good. Let's continue. So we want to add a couple of things to the container widget. All right, okay, so still inside the container widget, we'll make use of the decoration property, and we'll make use of the box decoration, and the box decoration takes in a couple of things. All right, what we want to specify is we want to have some line beneath the text and the icon. All right, so we'll make use of the border. All right, and when we use the border property, we'll make use of the border widget. All right, and inside the border widget, then we can specify, since it's at the bottom of the screen. All right, so we can specify our bottom, so bottom. All right, and then we can call the border side. Okay, so we'll use the border side widget. All right, and then we can say color. Let me just go here and copy the color. All right, so inside our home, let me see, we use a color somewhere. We use okay, this is fine. So I'll just copy this, say color, and I'll paste that over here. But then it has to be a bit bold, a bit clear. So yeah, so I'll do that. Then we'll specify the width. All right, the width of the borders, and we are making use of a value of about 0.5. 2. Okay, let me put some comments to make this look stand out. Okay, that is fine. Okay, so if I refresh and go to, we can see this line over here, right? Yeah, so that's awesome. So right after the box decoration, we want to make use of a row. All right, the row containing the text widgets and the icon, the text field icon of. All right, so let me pass a comment over here to text translation and text field icon in a row. All right, in a row. Okay, so then we can make use of the chat property inside the container, and we can call the row widget, and the row widget can take in the children property. We want them to be spaced. All right, there should be one of the items should be at the left and one should be at the right, so we use the space between. All right, so we use main axis alignment, and we use main axis alignment dot space between. Okay, so once that is done, then we can do the text and the icon. All right, so what we want to do is we'll use the text property. All right, and we say, we'll make use of the text widget, and we would say text translation. All right, awesome. Okay, so let me pass a comment at the top, text translation here. All right, and let's start the text a bit, because at the moment, if all right, yeah, but I want to probably style it a bit, so I'll make use of the style. Then we are going to make use of our Google fonts dot poppins. All right, and in here we can style it. Okay, so what we want to do is to specify a font size of about 18. Okay, which will make it a bit bigger. Then we'll specify our font weight. Our font weight is going to be 300. Okay, and then we want to specify our color. All right, so we'll make use of the const the color widgets, and inside here we are going to make use of the dark color. Right, so 1 2 3 4 5 6, which is fine. So if I refresh, you can see that it stood out, like it comes out bigger for us to see. All right, so the next thing is right after the text widget, we want to say let me say text field icon. All right, and then we can make use of the icons widget. All right, so icon, and inside the icon, all right, we want to use icons, and inside that we use icons dot text field. All right, yep. So that being done, I'll copy the color over here. It's going to be of the same color. I'll remove this. Then we'll specify the font size. All right, or the size. Sorry, we'll specify the size. All right, to a desired size that we want. You can use any size that you want, but I want to use a size of 24. Okay, so if I refresh, awesome. All right, so we've done what is here. All right, the next thing is to do the drop down. All right, so there's a drop down, two different drop down. We are going to use the same drop down. All right, and it is an icon here. All right, a swap icon over here. So we will do that. Okay, so that being done, let us come out of the container. All right, and still inside the column widgets, we'll pass comment to, we say we are going to make use of the padding widget. So padding around language drop down. Okay, and let me say drop downs. All right, because it's two. So language drop downs, and the widget, the icon that we will use is, we are going to make use of the swap. So it's a swap horizontal or swap horizontal. Okay, yeah, icon. So that's what we are going to use. So we'll make use of the padding widget, and we use const edge insect only. All right, okay, so edge insect only, then I'll specify only in the top, where I'll make use of 40. All right, sorry, awesome. Okay, that being done, we can make use of a chart property. All right, the chart property. All right, and we'll make use of a row. Okay, and so what we'll do is, let me pass the comments over here. So language drop downs and swap horizontal. All right, in a row. Okay, so we can now make use of the chart property, and we'll pass the row widget to it, and we'll use children. We want it to be spaced. All right, so we'll use the main asix alignment, then main asix alignment dot space between. All right, and in here we can specify a couple of things. We want to specify our drop downs, but we don't have our drop downs yet, so let's do that. So inside our lib folder, what we want to do is to first create another folder. All right, we'll call it utility, and inside the utility folder, we'll create a file and call it language. So we'll call it language drop down. All right, language drop down dot that. Okay, and this is going to be a stateful widget. All right, so sorry, so I do that, and we'll name it as language drop down. All right, that's awesome. Let's pass a couple of things to the constructor. All right, so just make use of the final value changed. Okay, and the value change, we will pass the string. Okay, and we'll call it on language changed. All right, and then we'll pass that to the constructor. All right, so required this dot on language change. Awesome. So in here, we want to create our list. All right, we want to create our language list. All right, so I have that over here, so I'll just copy and come and paste it in here. So awesome. Let me explain what we've done. So we've created a list, all right, a list, and we are calling it language data. It gives the list takes in the a country language, all right, probably the name of the language, all right, the country and their language, and then it takes in the country image too as well, all right. So I've specified the parts. So the first one you can see English US, second one English UK, and so forth. You can decide to add a couple of other languages to it if you like, all right. But at the moment it's about one, two, I think it's about 7 languages or 8 languages that we are doing, all right. So that is fine. So instead of returning a scaffold, we return a container. We return the container widget, and inside the container widget there are a couple of things that we want to do. The first thing we want to do is make use of the padding property, all right, and we'll do const edge insect, all right. We'll use symmetric so that we can specify the horizontal and the vertical values, all right. By the moment we only want to use specify the horizontal values, that means the left to the right, and we are going to specify 15.0. okay. So still inside the container widget, all right, we will want to make use of the decoration property and do a box decoration. There are a couple of things that we'll do over here, all right. And what we are doing is you see this is the drop down. You can see that these what the name of the language and the flag, all right, there's kind of some padding around it, all right. So and at the same time too, you can see some border around it, and the color is also different from the background color, all right. So that's what we're actually doing over here. So the first thing we want to do is to specify the border radius, all right. And the border radius, we are going to specify border radius circular, and in here we can specify our value. We are going to make use of a value of about 12.0, and right after the border radius we can make use of the color property, and the color property we can pass the color widget to it, and in here we want to make use of the color code, all right, and we want to it's a white color, right. So 1 2 3 4 5 6, that is fine. And right after that, the next thing we want to also do is to make use of the border property, and we can say border dot all right. And in here, let me come to this prompt screen and copy a color that we used, all right. So I'll just copy everything from here, or let me copy this thing as well, okay. So I'll just paste in that. We'll see what we've done so soon. So the color still the same color, and the opacity is 0.8, which is fine. And the width, it is only the width that is going to change, and we are going to make use of 0.1, a value of 0.1, all right. That is fine. So right after the decoration, we can make use of the chart property, and we will do the drop down, all right. So use drop down button, okay, and then it takes in string, all right. It takes in awesome. So it's expecting a couple of things. It's expecting an item and other stuffs, all right. So let's do that. So what we'll do is the value is going to be selected country, all right, which we've not created. So let's do that. Let's create this variable. uh we'll create, it's a string variable, and we are going to call it selected country. Okay, so we can go to the inside the drop down. We'll make use of that over there. The next thing that we want to do is to, you realize, I don't know if you can see that, but that's fine. We cannot see that over here. But once you navigate to this particular screen, you are going to see select a country before when you do the selected country, that will show. All right, so let's do that. So we'll do a hint. All right, and the hint is we are going to make use of the text widget. It's a text. All right, and in here we would say select select language. All right, awesome. Now let's start this. All right, so what we'll do is to make use of the Google fonts. All right, so Google fonts we use the patterns. All right, and right after that we can specify a couple of things. So specify the font size. I want that to be 14, and the next thing is to specify a color. All right, and we want that to be dark. All right, so const color widgets. Yeah, so that is just that with a hint text. Okay, so that is just that with a hint text. The next thing we want to do is right after that you have in between select a country. All right, right after that select the country, in the row you have an icon, a drop down icon, something. All right, so let's do that. So make use of icon property provided by the drop down, and we will say padding. All right, and then we'll make use of const edge insect only, and the edge insect only we will only specify left of about 8.0. that is fine. Okay, and inside that we will specify a chart. All right, so make use of the chart property. I will specify an icon widget, and inside that we can make use of the icons dot we use keyboard so keyboard arrow down rounded. All right, awesome. So there are a couple of things that we want to do to that, and what we want to do is to specify a color. All right, so I'll copy this, All right, and paste that over here, and the color is going to be a bit lighter, so 0.3, fine. All right, and then right after the padding, we want to make use of the underline. We want to get rid of any underlying thing that we would see. All right, else we are going to have that we will have the drop down inside the drop down underline, and we don't want that. So we make use of the underline property. We use the container, and inside the container we would say color. Make use of the color widget, and we use we make use of the colors widget, and we use transparent, so we don't want that to happen. Okay, the next thing is to do a drop down color. When the drop down comes, what is the background color for that? And we want the background color we want to use is white. All right, so let me just copy this and paste that here. Awesome. The last thing we want to do is to add the items. All right, and this is where we make use of the list. All right, so we'll make use of the language data list, and we use the map, and inside here we'll just specify country. Awesome. Then we'll do dot to list. Okay, that is fine. Then in here we can now do our return. All right, so return drop down menu item. All right, awesome. So drop down menu item, and this is going to take in a string. All right, so whilst it takes in a string, there are a couple of things that we would want to do. Okay, the first thing we want to do is to what are the values, where are they coming from? All right, the values is going to be the country. All right, so you make use of the country here, and in here we would say country language. All right, that is fine. And then the chart property will pass the row widget to it. All right, so he's still expecting one last thing, that is the unchanged, which we'll do that very soon. So we'll do a cross axis alignment, and we'll do cross axis alignment dot center. All right, then right after that we can specify our children, and the children, you realize that the images are over. All right, or kind of rounded. So let's do that. We'll make use of the clip over widget, and inside that we'll make use of the chart property, and then we'll make use of the image dot asset and in here we can pass in a couple of things. All right, to country, and then we can say country image. All right, put an exclamation. That is fine. We specify our width, which is 24. Then we will specify our height, which is 24. And then we'll do a fit. All right, then we'll do box fit dot cover. All right, and that is fine. We are done with that. So right after the oval, we want a bit of space between the country flag, all right, or the image, and the language. All right, so we'll make use of the size box. All right, so const sized box, and then we will specify a width. All right, and the width we are going to say 8.0, which is fine. Then right after that, we'll make use of the text widget to display the language. All right, to display the language. So make use of the country, and in here we would say country language. All right, then we'll put an exclamation. Also, then we'll add our style, make use of the Google fonts, then make use of the patterns. All right, and in here we can style it a bit. We want to give it a font size of about 14. All right, so it's equally the same thing as the select country hint that we did over here. All right, so 14. But then we want to do something. If we want to specify the color, right, but the color, that's where we will make use of the selected country. So if the selected country, if the country is selected, all right, if the country is not selected, then show dark, but if it is selected, then show a particular color. All right, so we'll do that. So say selected country is equal to so country language. Let me just copy this. All right, then we'll use this color. Where is the dark color? All right, I want the dark color. Okay, else we'll make use of this color. Else we'll make use of this color, and this time around is 0.8. Awesome. All right, yeah, so selected country is equal to, all right, yeah. So that being done, we've done to list. All right, so right after the to list, then we can do the on change, which is giving us a lot of problems. So the on change would say new value. All right, and yeah, so make use of the set state, and inside the set state we'll say selected country. All right, we'll save that, we'll pass that to the new value, And that is just that. All right. And then right after this, let's add one more thing and say widgets dot on language changed. All right, and let's pass the new value to it also. Okay. Okay, so now we've created our drop down. All right, so we can come in here to the prompt screen and make use of it. Okay, so to make use of the drop down, there are a couple of things that we have to do at the top. So in here, the first thing we want to do is let's create some variables. All right, so variables, I'll take string and use selected country from. All right, you want to, when you want to, this one is the country from, the country to. All right, the language. All right, so the language, which language from, and which language you want to translate to. All right, so we'll create two different variables. All right, I would say 2. All right, I think that being done, we can create two different methods. All right, so let me pass a comment. So say function to update the state of the selected country selected language. All right, and the next one is selected language too. All right, so let's do that. Let's create a function for the first one. So void, all right, we'll call it handle language changed from. All right, and this one is going to take in some parameters. So string, I would say new country, and in here we can make use of the setState, and then we'll pass the selected country from to it, and we'll pass that to the new country. All right, awesome. So what we want to do is to just copy this and paste that over here, and instead of country from, we'll do country to. New country setState, we'll do selected country to. All right, new country. All right, and that's it. And that is just that with the functions that handles the selection. All right, from the drop downs. So let's come here. All right, so what we want to do is to display the drop downs. All right, we want to display two different drop downs. So the first thing is language drop down from. All right, so we'll call the language class that we've created, the language drop down. All right, so on language changed is expecting something. All right, we'll pass the handle language change from function that we created at the top over there to it. All right, awesome. So what I want to do is to copy this, and I'll change this to 2. All right, language drop down to. All right, so instead of doing this, I'll do handle. All right, and pass the handle language change to it. And in between here we have this horizontal this horizontal swap thing over here. So it's an icon. All right, so let's do that. Let's pass the icon to that. So say I'll pass a comment over here and say swap horizon icon. All right, and make use of the icon widget, and inside the icon widget we'll specify icons dot swap horizon. All right, rounded. All right, and the next thing is to specify a color. We'll be using a color that with some kind of light opacity. All right, so let me come in here. Let me see. Yeah, so I just copy this, and I'll come in here and paste that here, and instead of 0.8 I'll make use of 0.3. We refresh or restart the app, and we can see that. So select language. All right, you can see awesome. All right, so the selected country is black or dark. All right, awesome. Okay, so whatever you select from and to does not affect that. Okay, so that is just that. So let's see what is left. The next thing we want to do is to display so you say language from, then we display the language that is selected. All right, and so language to before the containers. All right, so let's do this too, language from and language to. All right, let's do this too. So still right after the pattern that contains these. All right, the first thing I want to do is to add a comment. All right, so pattern around the selected language from. All right, just want to pass a comment and say selected language to. All right, so make use of the pattern widget. So const edge insect, we use the only couple of values that we need to specify. All right, and the first to specify is the top, which is 20.0, and we'll specify the left, which is 10.0. all right, that is awesome. And in here we will make use of the chart property. So let me pass a comment. So the selected language from in a row. All right, so the selected language from in a row. All right, so make use of the chart property, we'll make use of the row widget, and inside the row widget we'll make use of the children property. There's something that we need to specify. So we want it to start, so we'll use main as x alignment, and we use main as x alignment dot start. We are going to make use of a rich text. All right, so make use of the rich text, okay, widget, and inside here we'll pass the text span. All right, okay. So inside the text span, there are a couple of things that we want to do is to style it a bit. So you style Google fonts dot appends. All right, then we specify a height, and we use 1.6. that is fine. And right after this we'll specify our children. All right, and we are going to make use of the text span. And inside the text span is expecting a couple of text spans. All right, so we'll specify the text span widget, and in here we would say inside the text span we'll say text. All right, and it's expecting a string. All right, so we'd say translate from. All right, that is awesome. Now let's start this. So make use of the style property, and we use Google fonts dot. Okay, and in here we will specify a couple of things. So font size of about 14.0, and the next thing is to specify the font weight. I want that to be 300, and the next thing is to specify the color. All right, and the color we want to use dark one. So okay, all right, that's awesome. So right after, or let me refresh. You can see that translate from is there. What we want to do is the selected country that is being displayed should be displayed over here too as well. All right, so right after the text span we can make use of another text span. All right, but then we'll use an if statement. I would say selected country from, okay, then an exclamation if it is not equal to now. All right, then let me copy everything from the text span. Okay, so here that this is going to change, and it's going to pick the value. All right, so it's say selected country from also. Let me refresh or restart the app. At the moment we don't see any country, but if we select the country also we can see that Italian. All right, so let's make this a bit bold. All right, let's make it bold. All right, so selected, so translate from. All right, awesome. So that is just that. So let's do that. Let's do the same thing from for 2. All right, so I'll just copy everything. In here. And then we will change a couple of things. Sorry. So I was facing some problems. So pattern around the selected language 2. All right. So same pattern. All right. Selected language 2 in a row. All right. And then we'll do 2. Okay. Then selected country 2. Okay. If it is not equal to null, then show that. Awesome. Okay. So if I do this, Russian is showing, so translate from, and if I do, then translate to. All right. Awesome. Okay. So that being done, let's see what is left. We want to show this container. They are containers. All right. So this container. All right. So let's do that. So pattern around selected country language from. All right. So right after this particular pattern, so all right, from, we want to show a particular container. All right. We want to show this container. So let me pass a comment. So pattern around the container for translate from. All right. Awesome. So make use of the pattern widget. We'll make use of the pattern widget, and then we'll say const edge insect only. All right, I'm going to use top of about 20.0. all right. Want some pattern between this and what will follow. All right, so of about 20, and inside our pattern we'll make use of the container widget. All right, so container for translate from. Okay, so the chart property, and we'll pass the container widget to that, and inside the container widget there are a couple of things that we want to do. We want it the weight to be the size of the screen. So all right, so weight, we'll use media query dot of context dot size dot weight. All right, let's do a couple of things. We'll specify the height, and the height is going to be 23.0. Then let's specify a padding. All right, we don't want the content to be too closer to the extreme of the container, right? So we want some padding. All right, so we'll do that. So let's do that. So pattern, and then we'll do const edge insect all, where we'll do 12.0. Awesome. Then we can now make use of the decoration property and make use of the box decoration widget, and inside that the first thing we want to specify is the border radius, and we use border radius dot circular, and we are going to make use of 12.0. All right, then we'll specify our color. We'll use a white color, so const color widgets, and then it's white, so awesome. All right, then we'll specify our border. We'll use border side border.all. All right, so it will be a border around all kind of thing. So we'll use color. Let me just go and copy this particular color that we've been using. All right, so I'll just copy this, then I'll paste that here. We are going to make use of 0.8, so that's the opacity. Then the width of the border is going to be 0.2. Awesome. All right, so if you refresh, all right, yeah, so we can see that. Okay, so what I want to do is to copy this. Okay, and right after this particular, so it's a pattern around translate to. All right, and then we'd say container for translate to. Okay, awesome. All right, so the next thing we want to do is to do the button. All right, before we can come to the content inside. All right, so let's do that. So we will come right after this particular pattern, and we'll pass a comment. We say container for submit button in a pattern. All right, and then we can make use of the pattern widgets. So we do const edge insect only, and we'll do a top, and we use a value of about 60. Awesome. Let me just reduce it and make it 50. All right, so we can now make use of the container. So let me just copy this, and get rid of this. All right, so we'll make use of the chart property and call the container widget. All right, I would say some padding. All right, and we'll use const edge insert. We use symmetric. All right, and this time around we are going to use a pattern. We are going to use the vertical, so that means that from top to down. I will show you that in a minute. We are using a value of about 15.0. So you can see the text. All right, we want some space in between. All right, from the top and the bottom. All right, so the text space is going to assume the size of the text widget that we use, and we don't want that. Okay, so it's still inside the container widget. The next thing we want to use is the decoration property, box decoration, and in here we use a border radius. We'll do a border radius dot circular. We use 20.0. The next is we'll specify our color. All right, and what I'll do is to come in here, copy this and paste that in here as well. So if I refresh, we can see that over here. That's awesome. All right, so still inside the container, the next thing is to say submit text scented. All right, and then we can say submit. You know what, it's fine. So make use of the chart property, make use of the center widget, and inside the center widget we'll make use of the chart property, we'll make use of the text widget. And this first thing we want to do is say submit. All right, so now let's style it a bit. We'll make use of the style property, and then we'll use the Google fonts dot appends. All right, then we can specify a couple of things. We'll do a font size of about 14.0. Then we'll do a font weight of about we'll do bold. Okay, I think that is just that. Let me copy this and pass some comments over here. All right, awesome. Ooh, we have to add a color. All right, so color const the color widget, specify our value 0. Okay, awesome. All right, so we can see that the submit shows. All right, so let's see what is left for us to do. Okay, what we want to do is the container, this particular container, it contains a test form field. All right, that allows you to input whatever you want to translate, and there's a count for that. All right, that shows the number of words that are supposed to input, and at the moment it takes now I think about 50 words. Okay, omitting commas and spacing and all those kind of things. All right, so we'll do that, and you can play what you've input over here. We'll play it, you can play it. All right, so we'll make use of a couple of widgets. Then this particular one where the translated is going to show, realize that there's a progress indicator. All right, so at the moment let's just do the UI work, then we'll add the API. We'll add the API and do the necessary things. So yeah, so let's get started. Okay, so we want to come in here, and inside the utility folder we'll add this file called translate from .stat, and this is a stateful widget, and we are going to say translate from. All right, let's pass this to the constructor. So final text editing controller, and we'll call that controller. Awesome. All right, so let's add that to the constructor. So required this dot controller. Okay, so let's include that in our container. So before we even do that, before we even include that in our controller, at the very top of our screen, let's add that to the variables. All right, so I would say text editing controller. All right, I would say controller, and we'll assign that to text editing controller. Awesome. All right, so then we can come into the container, translate from. All right, so this particular container, and then we'll do a chart. All right, then we would say translate from controller, then we'll pass the controller to it, and that is just done. All right, yep, it's expecting something because it's placeholder that is dead, so we'll see that. Okay, so let's come to the translate from. All right, and the first thing we want to do is to inside our build. All right, we'll get rid of this. I'll use a column widget, and inside it will specify our children. All right, and then the column widget will do cross-axis alignment dot stats. All right, refresh. Okay, that's fine. The first thing we want to do is to make use of the test form field. Okay, so let me pass a comment to test form field here. So I'll say text form field, and in here there are a couple of things that we want to specify. All right, so the controller, and the controller is going to use widget dot controller. All right, so that controls the text that is being edited. All right, okay, so it gives you an explanation to that. Okay, then we want to specify the max lines. All right, we'll use max line 6. What we want that to do is that if you don't specify that, it's going to be a max line of 1. It's just going to be a tiny text input. But if you do 6, so that means that 6. All right, so you can see, so 1 2 3 4 5 6. All right, the next we will not see that. Okay, that's awesome. Let's start it a bit. Okay, we want to use the decoration, and we'll make use of this time around we'll make use of input decoration. All right, and this we can specify a couple of things. The first thing we want to do is to specify a hint text. All right, and the hint text is what we would say is have let's say have something to translate. Have something to translate. It's more of a question. All right, it's more of a question. So yeah, we can see that over it. So let's start this a bit. We can make use of another property called hint style. So that means that we are going to style the hint text. All right, we use Google fonts that patterns. All right, we can style it. So what we want to do is to give a font size of about 28. We want it to be bigger, about 28.0, and the last thing is to specify the color. Let me grab this particular color. All right, and paste that in here. We want the color to be a bit lighter, so we have to reduce the opacity, and the opacity we are going to use opacity of 1. All right, so you can see have something to translate. All right, something to translate. We can see that over there. Still inside our input decoration, we are not done. We need to rid of a couple of things. The first thing we want to do is get rid of is the enabled border. All right, you can see this particular border thing over here. We don't want it. All right, so input border dot none. All right, okay, so all right, it's not there, but once I click inside, we are going to see it. All right, so we have to also get rid of that too as well. So that is there. That's we'll use the focus border. All right, and that one too, we say we'll copy it. Let me just copy this input border dot none too as well. All right, so yeah, we don't see that. Okay, and the last thing is to specify a label text. All right, so label style. All right, so label style, make use of the Google fonts dot. All right, and in here we specify a couple of things. So we'll specify our color. Let me just copy this. All right, and we don't need this. That is, we are making use of a dark color, right? Okay, and then the font size. All right, so we'll specify 16.0. So what we've done is whatever you input over here is going to be dark, and it's going to be have a font size of about 16.0. All right, yeah, okay, that's awesome. All right, so what is left is to, so this is a container. All right, with a border at the top and these things. All right, so let's do that. So right after the text form field, we'll add, so I'll say container for, let me see, word count and volume up icon. All right, so container. All right, and inside the container there are a couple of things that we want to specify. So the first thing is we want some padding, and we'll do const edge insects only. All right, then we'll do top of about 12.0. That being done, we can continue. We'll do a decoration, box decoration widget, and inside the box decoration we can specify our border. All right, so border, we may say border side, so we say border. All right, and in here we specify our bottom, border side. Okay, then the border side, there are a couple of things that we can specify inside. All right, sorry, we are not doing the bottom, we are doing top. All right, yeah, so let's specify our color. I'll grab this color, paste it here, and our opacity is going to be 0.8, and we'll do the width, which is going to be 0.2. all right, so if I refresh, we can see the line over here. All right, The next thing is to still inside the container, grab the chat property, and we'll use the row, all right, widget. I'll specify the children, all right. So let me pass a comment. So row for word count and icon in container, all right. So we do main as x alignments, dot space between, and inside that, the first thing we want to do is to make use of the text widget, word count word count, all right. And the next thing is volume up icon, all right. So text, okay, so I would say 1 out of 50 words. At the moment we are just hard coding that. Let's start this a bit, okay. So star Google fonts dot append, all right, and in here we'll specify a font size of about 12.0. Then we'll specify our color. We're going to use the dark color, so I'll come and copy this and paste that in here. So if I refresh, we'll see that over here. Okay, no problem. The next is to do the icon. All right, so would say icon, all right, so icons dot volume up, and then we'll use the outline, all right. Then the next thing is to specify what we want to do is to specify the color. That's all. So I'll just grab this and paste that over here, and the opacity, I think we'll maintain that, and that's fine. Okay, so we can see that. All right, so what I want us to do is to when we type in words, it should give us the counts, all right, as an update kind of thing over here. So let's do that. Let's go to the top of our screen, okay, and over here there are a couple of things that we want to do. So we'll make use of the end, I would say word count. We'll initialize that to 0, all right. Then we'll do final end, we'll do word limit, sorry, we would say word limit. I want to set that to 50, all right. That's awesome. So that is just that with our variable, okay. Now let's create a couple of methods, all right. Let's create a couple of methods. So the first that we want to do is to update the word count. the first we want to do is to create update word count. All right, you know what, the first thing we want to do is let's do count words. All right, so int, and we would say count words. All right, so this will count the number of words that we've entered. So string, and it's a text. Okay, I don't know why the body might be completed normally. Okay, so if I would say text dot is empty. All right, then we'll return 0. All right, then final words, we equate that to the text dot trim. Okay, dot splits. Let's write a code. I'll explain what is happening. Regular expression or reg express, whatsoever you want to say it. We'll specify some values. Okay, so r s plus this. All right, and yeah, so if then we return, if not then we return the words dot length. All right, awesome. So we are done with the count words. If so, this is going to count the first. What we've done is we've set it to 0. If not, then you should get the total words that is being entered. All right, the next is to create, let's create the update count. All right, so at the top here I would say void update, so update count. Okay, and in here we have a couple of things I want to do. So final text, we'll set that to the widget dot controller. All right, dot text, so you are picking what is entered inside the controller. All right, they will make use of the setState, and there are a couple of things I want to do. We'll call the word count. Okay, and then we will set that to the count words method that we created. All right, awesome, that's fine. Now we will make use of an if statement, and in here there are a couple of things that I want to say. We'd say word count is greater than word limit. if that is greater than word limit, do something. So we want to truncate the text limit if, all right, we want to truncate the amount of words that will be entered, all right, if it exceeds 50, all right. So let's do that. So let me pass a comment overhead. So truncate the text if word limit is exceeded. Okay, so let's do that. So it's a widgets dot controller, all right. Want the value if it is equal to widget dot controller dot value dot copy with. All right, in here we will specify a couple of things. So we'll pass the text. I would say we are here to create this particular function, all right. You know, let's create that. Let's create that. So right after this, let's create a function called so it's a string. I would say truncate text to word limit. All right, so truncate text to word limit. All right, and then we would say string text, then we say int word limit. There's no word, is word limit. All right, so in here we'll specify a couple of values. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this, I'll paste that. So it's say final words text dot trim, all right, split, all right, yeah. Then we'll make use of an if statement. I would say you say words dot length, all right, if it is less than or equal to the word limit, then do something, then return the text, all right. Else return wedge dot take word limit. Okay, then we'll do dot train out some. All right, so we can now make use of this truncate thing that we've created. All right, so we'll come in here and we'll pass the truncate, yep, and we'll pass in the text, and then we'll pass in the word limit to us as well. And then The next thing is to do selection. All right, we say text selection dot, so text selection dot from position. All right, and it's expecting a couple of things. All right, so use text position, and in here we'll pass in some values. Say we say offset, and we'll use widgets dot controller dot text dot length. All right, then after here, then we'll say word count is equal to word limit. Okay, so what we've done is we've created a couple of functions to track the word count. All right, we don't want the words to exceed 50. So if it exceeds, it's going to truncate it, the rest is not going to show. We've removed it does not count comments, spacing and all those kind of things. All right, as words. Okay, it rather counts the characters. All right, words that you input. Okay, so we'll come in here. We will come in here, and instead of hard coding this, we will do this. We'll say word count. All right. Then we say word limits. All right, then we'll add 50 words. Okay, awesome. Yep, so at the moment, hi, I do not know why let's kill the app. And run it. All right, so while the app run, let's go to the top and see if oh, sorry, I made a mistake. Forgive me. All right, there are a couple of things that we have to do. We are not done. Okay, there are a couple of things that we have to do. We are not done. So let's do an init state. All right, yep, and then we want to pass the widget dot controller, and then we'll do add listener. All right, then we'll pass the update count to it. Awesome, so we just did this. The last thing that we want to also do is to to dispose of a couple of things. All right, so right after here, okay, awesome. So let me just copy this and paste that here. And the next thing we want to do is to do the widgets dot controller dot dispose. Okay, awesome. Okay, so now this should help us track the changes. All right, so you can see hi, hello. All right, you see it does not count. All right, the space and all those kind of things. Okay, and full stops and all that. All right, so that is just that. The next thing we want to do is to ensure that whatever we type over here, when we click on this icon, it should play to us. All right, okay, so we will create a function. Before we create the function, let's create this variable. So right after here, we'd say final we say Flutter TTS. We've not added this particular package, we'll add it soon. All right, we'll create an instance of that. So Flutter TTS Flutter TTS as well. So let's add that. Okay, so I'll just copy. We'll come to the package. I would say Flutter TTS. We'll grab this particular package. All right, so I'll go to installing and grab this. All right, so in here I'll just paste it and click on enter. Let me bring the screen. So I think at the moment it's added. So what I can do is to just import the package. All right, import this package, and that is just that. Okay, so once that is imported, we can come down here. Okay, so before this, and we'll create a function, say future void. All right, I would say handle volume. No, so let me say handle volume up tab. All right, no problem. And in here there are a couple of things I want to do. Say we say final text, and we'll pass that to the widget controller Then we'll take in the text. All right, and then we'll say, so this should be an async. Awesome. And we would say await Flutter TTS dot speak, and we'll pass the text to it. All right, let me kill that up. And run it again. Okay, so we have to pass. Let's pass that to the dispose. All right, so Flutter TTS dot stop. All right, and then let me see the top. All right, so that is just done. So now we can come in here. We want to use this particular icon. All right, so we'll wrap the icon in a gesture detector. We'll specify our on tap. And then the on tap will just pass the handle volume up. All right. Okay. Awesome. So if I type in hello and I press this, we should hear that. All right. I hope we hear that. Let me do that again.
Hello. Hello.
So you can hear that. All right.
Hello.
Yep. So that is just that. Wait, this particular side. The next thing is to do this side. Okay. Let's see what we are supposed to do. So here we'll be using an expanded widget and a couple of things. All right. So I'm going to create that particular screen, and then right after that we are going to be adding our API to do the necessary fetching. All right, so let's do that. Okay, so we'll come here. All right, we did translate from that. All right, so we'll do translate to. All right, so it's say translate to. Sorry, so we'll say translate to that. All right, awesome. And this is also going to be a stateful widget. All right, so we'd say translate to. We'll pass this to the constructor. So final string, and we will call this translate text. All right. Okay. So required this dot translate text. All right, that's fine. Now let's come to the prompt screen, and then where the variables are, we will create a string variable. All right, so say string, and we'll call this translate text. Sorry, so translate text, will set that to an empty string. All right, that is fine. So we can come into the container that says translate to. All right, yeah, translate to. That's a container, and in here we can do, and we will call the translate to widget. All right, class that we've created. Okay, so let's do that. So translate, okay, and it's expecting something, so it's say translate text. Awesome. So at the moment, if you refresh, yep, we would see this. So let's go and get rid of a couple of things. All right, and this we are going to make use of a column widget. So children, and cross axis is going to be a cross axis alignment dot start. Awesome. This is going to be quick because we are just going to copy a couple of codes. All right, so I'll come to translate from. I'll copy this at the top here. I'll just import this. I will come here. I'll come and copy this function. In fact, let me copy that with a dispose, and I'll get rid of these two things. So we do text. So we do translate text. All right, that is fine. Awesome. Okay, is there something left? Yes, we have to also create a function for copy. All right, so we'll import this particular package services. All right, so import, and we'll say package, and the next thing is to import this Flutter package, and we will import services to that. All right, awesome. So once that is done, we can now create our function to copy. All right, so the method to copy text to clipboard. All right, so let's do that. So let me see. So method to copy to clipboard. All right, awesome. So the first thing is void copy to clipboard. Okay, there are a couple of things that we have to. Let's pass this. We'll pass the string, and we'll pass the text to that. So in here, we'll use the clip clipboard widgets, and we say set data. I would say clipboard data. Text, we will pass the text string that we've created, and then we do dots then. All right, and it's going to be 1 2 3. Sorry. Yep. Okay, so in here we can use the scaffold messenger. So scaffold messenger, and then we do dot of context dot show snack bar. All right, and in here we'll use const. We'll make use of the snack bar widget, and the content is going to be a text widget. All right, with a text copied to clipboard. All right, awesome. Okay, it's a problem that we need to fix. All right, okay, so that being done, we can now come and do the necessary thing that we want to be done in the build method. All right, so the first thing is to, you know what, let me copy. Okay, I'll use an expanded widget, and the chart is going to be a single chart scroll. All right, okay, that's fine. So right after the expanded widget, I want to copy something. Right after that, I want to copy this particular container. All right, so I'll copy everything in here. And I'll paste that here as well. Yeah, issues. Yeah, of course there will be issues. All right, so let's fix that. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is to fix this. This is, and I don't need this. So row for volume up and copy or icon in container. Okay, so for this, the copy or has to come. All right, so that one comes first. Okay, so let's do that. So I would say icons dot copy or outline. All right, and then we'll have to specify the color. We're going to just copy the same thing. All right, so copy or icon. All right, let's wrap this in a gesture detector. Okay, wrap that in a gesture detector. Okay, we'll do on tap. We'll pass our function that we created. Copy to clipboard. All right. There appears to be a problem. Yep, because it's expecting something. So it's expecting the widgets dot trans. Yeah. Okay. So let's do this. Awesome. Okay. At the moment, there's nothing overhead, so even if I paste it, we are not going to see anything. All right. Yeah. So we've done that. Okay, let's do what has to be inside the expanded. Okay. So we'll come to the expanded. Inside expanded, we have to pass in a couple of things to that. So the expanded, we'll use the chart property, and we are going to make use of the text widgets. And there are a couple of things that we want to do. This is going to accept the widget dot translate text. All right, let's style it a bit. We use Google font dot append, and in here we'll specify a couple of things. So font size, the font size is going to be 16.0. The font weight is going to be 300, and the color is going to be dark. All right, so const color awesome. All right. Yep, so I think that is just that. Okay, so now what is left for us to create a function in the prompt screen that will interact with the API. Okay, and once you select a country from here, the language from here, select a language from the side, and you click on this. Whatever you enter over here should be translated over here for you. Okay, yeah, so let's see. Yeah, so let's head over to our favorite browser and grab the API from Gemini. All right. Okay, so in my favorite browser, I would want to search for Gemini API. All right, so Gemini API. So once that loads, so let me say go to this place. Okay. Yep. So once that is done, let's look for Gemini API at the top over here. All right. So yeah. So get API keys in Google AI Studio. Click on that. Okay. Um, at the moment I'm signed in. For you, probably maybe your first time, you might not be signed in or something like that. And then what you want to do is you create an API key. Once that is done, you can copy the API key that will be given. All right. So once you click on that, you copy it, and yep. So once that is done, you want to come in here to Visual Studio Code. All right. So just outside, and just click a file. Click and create a .env file. Okay. Then we would say tokens, and then yep. Okay. You want to come and paste your API key in here. All right. So the API key that you copy from the Gemini. All right. So you would want to paste it over here. All right. So once that is done, let's do a couple of installations. All right. We need a couple of installations. So let's do that. So you come to the pub.dev, all right, platform. Then the first thing you want to do is to install flutter.env, all right. So click on that, search for that. The first thing that appears on the list, come to installing, copy it, and yeah, in here, then you paste that here. You add it. There's another library or package that we need to add. So you also want to search for Google Generative AI. All right. Yep. And the first thing to as well on the list. All right. So you grab that. Come to installing. Copy it. Let's go back to Visual Studio Code. I'll paste that, and I'll click on enter to do the installation. So that is also done. Now what I want to do is to kill the app. All right. Then start the app again. All right. So Flutter run. Also, yep. Flutter run. Then there are a couple of things. Let me bring translate. I don't need this. This particular page. All right. Also, there are a couple of things that we want to add. So we want to make this an async. Okay. Then in here, we want to see await. Okay. I would say .env. All right. .load. Okay. And inside the load, we'll say file name, and we'll put the .env that file that we've created. Then we'll put then we will do that. All right. Realize that the .env got imported as well at the top here. All right. So restart the app. No problem. So it cannot find the .env file. All right. So let's do that. We'll come to the pub spec file, and we'll go to assets. All right. And then we'll add .env. All right. Once that is done, save. All right. Once it gets added, let's restart the app. Okay. So now .env can be read by the application. All right. That's awesome. Okay. So the next thing is to come to the prompt screen and we'll write our codes. All right. We'll write and fetch from the API. Okay. So let's do that. Okay. So quick one. So in the env file, instead of using tokens, I actually used I changed it and used yeah, I use this. Okay, so let me say I used this. Let me paste that. All right. Yeah. So instead of doing tokens, I actually did this. All right. So you can do that and actually add your API. Okay. Uh. So now what we want to do is to write a function. All right. To interact with yeah. So over here. Uh. So I'd say function to let me see to translate. All right. Yeah, I think that's fine. So we use future void and then we'll call it translate text. All right. So this is a function 8 sync. All right. Awesome. So it's expecting a couple of things. No problem. So the first thing that we want to do is to create an instance of an API. All right. Of the .env file. So we'll say final, and we'll call it API key. Okay, and we'll initialize that to the .env file. To .env. Okay, and we would say sorry, and would say API key. That was what I showed you earlier on. All right, so you realize that .env will be added at the top here. So where is it? So you can see flutter.env being imported at the top. Let's continue. The next thing that we want to do is to say that write an if statement. So if API key, all right, if it is null, if nothing can be found in the .env file that we've created, then print something. All right, so print say no API no API key environment variable. All right, let's do this. Environment variable. Awesome. And then let's return. All right, let's return that. I still do not understand why. Future void. The name is already defined. Where is that? Okay. Translate text. But I don't have any translate text. All right. Okay, so instead of using translators, so let's say translate language. All right, that's fine. So let me add that to our button. All right, to our button. Yep, the container. We'll wrap this in a we'll wrap this in a gesture detector, so a widget. We'll call it gesture detector. So say in gesture detector. All right, then we'll do on tap. Okay, and we'll do translate language. All right, so that's awesome. So that means that our button now works. All right, but the moment if we click on that, nothing will happen. Okay, so there are a couple of things that we need to do inside our translate function. All right, so let's get going. The first things that we want to do is to create an instance of a couple of things. All right, we want to create an instance for our controller, then drop downs. All right, so we say final, and the first thing we'll say is input input text. We'll set that to the controller. I would say text. All right, we want to pick what is in, and the second one is to do I would say from language. All right, so I'll do that short. So that's for the drop down from the language. All right, and I'll do selected from. All right, awesome. Then I'll do final, and I'll do to lang. All right, that's the language I want to translate to, and I'll do selected language too, and that is good. All right, so once these are done, we can now continue and do a couple of things. All right, we want to do a try catch. Okay, so we use try. Then we'll do a catch. All right, we'll do a catch. Okay, awesome. So let's do what is in the catch first. All right, what do we want to catch? We want to catch the error. Okay, so use scaffold messenger. All right, so that we can use the snack bar to display a message. All right, so context. All right, then we do dot show snack bar. All right, and inside here I would say const snack bar, and the content will make use of the text widget, and what we would say is failed to fetch failed to translate text. All right, okay, so we are done with everything that is in the catch. So that's assuming there's an error. All right, yep. Now let's write the necessary code to fetch for us. So do final inside the try block. All right, we use model, and we would set that to generative model. All right, so that is coming from the Google generative. So you would see that being imported. All right, awesome. So you can see it over a Google Generative AI being imported. All right, it's expecting a couple of things. So the model we are going to use is the Gemini 1.5 Flash. All right, so Gemini 1.5, okay, Flash also, and the API key is going to be the API key we've created over here. Okay, so that is just that. The next is to define our content. All right, so final we'll do content. All right, final content, and this is where we define our content. Okay, yeah, so now let's define our content. We'll take content, all right, dot text. Okay, now let's declare the text. All right, so the text we want to pass to that is a so translate. You want to use the same thing, all right, so that we get the desired result. All right, so translate only, and the first thing is to pick the input, all right, or what will be typed inside the text form field. That is what is here, and we've created an instance of that as input text. All right, so input, I don't know why that is not showing. Oh, okay, I get it. So input text. All right, awesome. So that, then would say from, we'll do the same for the from language. All right, so we do to awesome, and we'd say to lang. All right, once that is done, yep, so you want to ensure that you've actually done the same thing. Okay, so we don't need this. We don't need this. All right, so yep, so input, so translate only the input text. All right, from lang and to, all right, so once that is done, okay, we are still not done. All right, the next thing is to come outside the content and we say final, we'll say final response. All right, and we'll set that to await model dot generate. Oh, sorry, this is, yeah, so model. All right, so model dot so to say generate content, and in here we want to pass the content. Oh, come on, we want to pass the content to it. Okay, Awesome. All right. So now let's print the content in our console. All right. Um, the content we are going to use is we'll use a translated text. We've not created that. I've not created anything. Okay. All right. So you don't, no problem. Okay. So I think this is fine. All right. So we can try that and see. All right. So pick English, Germany. All right. I would say thank you. And when I click on submit, wait a bit. We should get a response over here soon. Um, you know what? Let me code up and do Flutter run again. So while the app is running, let me check a couple of things. Okay. So instead of using, so I'll use translated text. All right. Let me go and change something. So that means that I have to change in the I use translated text. Okay. Now I want to change our function name. I want to change the name of our function. So instead of use translate text. All right. Translate text. So I have to pass that to. All right. Awesome. Now let me print the response. Okay. Let's print the response in the console. To print yep. So I'll be printing the translated. Okay. And then let's do a set state. Okay. Yeah. So the set state we'll use is the translated text, and we'll set that to the response dot text. Okay. Add an exclamation, and that's fine. Okay. So now this should have our app running and working perfectly. Okay. So thank you. I'll change. I'll pick the language English. I'll use Germany. The response will be printed here for us. I'll do a submit. Okay. All right. And we get donkey, Flutter donkey. All right. Thank you. And to Germany is called donkey. All right. Awesome. Now the next thing we want to do is to see, we get surprised. All right, we would want to show a loading cycle. Okay, we want to show a loading cycle before the image, so it doesn't look like what is happening. Okay, what I actually did, they did work or something. So we'll come here to our variable and we'll create a bool. I'll do that to loading. I will set that to false. All right, so once I do that, uh once I do that, that is first step. The second thing is to come to our function. All right, and then there are a couple of things that we are supposed to do it inside. Okay, so at the top here, we want to set it to true. All right, that is if everything goes through and all that. So we'll do a set state. I would say loading. I will set that to true. All right, also now if there's an issue and this gets printed, we should do finally and set it to false. All right, so loading, we'll set that to false. Also, all right, so that being done, that is fine. Okay, so we can come to this side of our screen to where this particular thing is. Okay, translate to awesome. All right, and this is where we use the loading. So say loading. If it is loading, what do? We want to show a circular progress indicator. All right, but I want it to be centered at the same time. To want it to be a container, so I'll use a center widget. That is fine. And inside the center widget, I'll do a chart. I'll use a container. Inside a container, there are a couple of things that I want to do. All right, I do pattern, do const edge insect all, and I'll do 12.0. The next thing is to specify height of about 50.0. The next thing to do is to specify width of about 50.0. Once that is done, I'll do decoration. I'll do box decoration. All right, and when I do a box decoration, we want to do a color. All right, and we'll be using our color that we've been creating. Okay, so I'll copy this. So this, okay, yep. Then I'll do a shape, and the shape is going to be circle. Awesome. So it's still inside our container. I'll do a chart and I'll use the circular progress indicator. And in here, all I want to do is to specify the color, and I'll use const color. The value is just going to be white. All right, it's just going to be white. Also, okay, So let me restart the app. Come here. Say English. Pick German or something. I'll still do the thank you. All right. So we just don't wait. You can see the progress indicator. Then thank you. All right. So let me pick another language, Italian. I do submit. Yeah, and we get that Grazi. All right, awesome. Yeah, so that is just that. Now we want to do some validation checks. All right. So what if the user does not type in something in here, does not select any of these languages and all that? We want to throw some validations. All right. That will show the user some a message. All right, with a snack bar. All right. So inside. So let's do that. Okay. So right after here, there are a couple of codes that I want to write, but I'll just copy and paste and tell you what is actually happening. All right. So I'll just paste it in here. Okay. So validation checks. What we've done is if the input text is empty, all right, this is the input text, and that's what we've created over here, or the controller or the text from. If it is empty, then there should be a snag bar that it says that what are you translating, because you are not translating anything. And the same thing as we've said, if from is empty, what language are you translating from? And if to is also empty, that's this. What language are you translating to? All right, and that's awesome. So let's try that. If I come here, I click on submit, as you see that what are you translating? Nothing happens. Okay, assuming I say thank you, and I do that, what are you translating? What are you translating from? All right. So I pick English, still do submit. What are you translating to? All right. I have to actually pick a particular language. All right. And I click on submit. That one, it will work, and I'll have that being displayed to me. All right. So yeah, thank you. Awesome. One thing we didn't text was for the copy to clipboard. All right. So let's do that. So if I click on that, so copy to clipboard. All right. So it was what it is donkey. All right. So if I come here, I paste that in here. You can see we have donkey being here. All right. That's awesome. All right. So that is just that. Let me see. Let's text our audio.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. And we can do that.
Danke.
Danke. All right. So yeah. So guys, so this is everything that we wanted to do in this particular tutorial. You can take it and build upon it. Probably do an audio translation or a voice translation from one language to the other. You can still use the Google Gemini API and do that. Maybe you want to ensure that probably this test for when you can do change it from test for to the mic icon or something like that, and you try them, and yeah, and that is, and then we keep going. Okay, so let me just chip in this. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to share to a couple of friends for them to know what we are learning over here. All right, and yeah, I have a couple of contents as well on the channel. Do well to check them out. All right, see you in the next tutorial where we'll be building something interesting.